Sir, stop tampering with that mailbox.
What? I'm delivering the mail. I work for the city.
We got a call about a suspicious person stealing mail. You match the description.
I literally had the mail in my hand. I can show you my ID.
ID proves nothing. Don't reach for anything.
How am I supposed to show you who
You're
I
being
am?
uncooperative.
You were tampering with U.S. mail at that mailbox.
Tampering? I'm the delivery driver. That is my job.
We got a report of a suspicious mail matching your description.
I showed you my ID in the mail. You arrested me on my delivery route.
You were resisting and acting uncooperative, sir.
I did comply. You ignored my uniform and my ID.
Officer Jason Mitchell had been with the Portland Police Department for 11 years. In those 11 years, he'd accumulated 22 formal complaints. 18 of them involved black men he'd accused of theft, trespassing, or suspicious activity while they were working in affluent neighborhoods. A black landscaper mowing a lawn was questioned for unauthorized use of equipment. A black electrician repairing a streetlight was detained for tampering with city property. A black contractor working on a house was searched for burglary. A black delivery driver dropping off packages was handcuffed for stealing from porches. A black meter reader checking utilities was arrested for trespassing on private property. A black pest control worker servicing a home was detained for breaking and entering. Every complaint ended the same way. Employers confirming the person was legitimately working. Internal review that cleared Mitchell. Bias training he attended but ignored. Written warnings that meant nothing. Union protection that blocked discipline. One Tuesday morning in Portland, his 11-year pattern of assuming black men working in wealthy neighborhoods were criminals finally confronted someone who wasn't just doing his job. He was a federal employee with union protection, federal employment laws shielding him, and the United States Postal Service behind him. That confrontation would end Mitchell's career, cost the city $1 million, and expose a department that had ignored 22 complaints over 11 years. Terrence Washington, a 36-year-old postal carrier, was delivering mail on his assigned route in the Laurelhurst neighborhood when an officer approached him aggressively while he was placing letters in a residential mailbox. His postal uniform shirt was in his truck. His postal badge was clipped to his belt. His mail satchel was over his shoulder, filled with sorted mail for the street. No crime, no tampering, no violation, just a postal worker doing his job on a route he'd walked hundreds of times. But Officer Mitchell saw him through a lens so warped by racial bias that he couldn't process a black man at mailboxes as a legitimate postal employee. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Hit that subscribe button. These stories need to be heard. Portland, Oregon. Laurelhurst, one of the city's most prestigious neighborhoods with historic homes, tree-lined streets, and some of Portland's wealthiest residents. The area was known for its exclusivity and high property values, with homes regularly selling for over $1 million. It was 10:30 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, temperature 58°. Overcast skies typical of Portland spring weather. The street was quiet as most residents were at work. Birds chirped in the old-growth trees. It was the kind of peaceful neighborhood where mail delivery should be routine and unremarkable. Terrence Washington had been a postal carrier for 14 years with the United States Postal Service, delivering in Portland's East Side neighborhoods for the past 8 years. He'd started as a mail processing clerk right out of high school, worked his way up to carrier, and had walked thousands of miles delivering mail through rain, heat, snow, and the occasional Portland ice storm. He'd received commendations for perfect attendance, excellent customer service, and dedication to his route. He'd been nominated for the Carrier of the Year twice. He knew his route by heart. Every address, every resident's name, every dog that barked, every house that needed packages left in a specific spot. He was a federal employee protected by union contracts, civil service regulations, and federal employment laws. He delivered on this particular street in Laurelhurst hundreds of times over 8 years without a single incident or complaint. That morning, Terrence was running his regular route as he did 5 days a week. He'd started at 8 a.m. from the post office, loaded his truck with the day's mail sorted by delivery sequence, and was working through his route efficiently. It was an unusually warm day for Portland, approaching 70 degrees, so he'd left his postal uniform shirt in the truck and was working in his regulation undershirt and postal pants. His postal badge was clearly visible clipped to his belt where it always was. His mail satchel had the USPS logo prominently displayed. His truck was parked at the curb just 15 feet away with official postal markings visible from every angle. He was placing mail in a residential mailbox, a task he'd performed literally thousands of times, when he heard an aggressive voice behind him. Do you think officers should verify employment before confronting workers? Drop your answer below. Officer Jason Mitchell had those 22 complaints over 11 years. 18 involved black men working in affluent neighborhoods, a pattern so obvious that supervisors had recommended his termination twice, community leaders had complained about him at city council meetings, and workers' unions had filed formal protests. But the police union had blocked every attempt at discipline, arguing that Mitchell was simply being proactive about property crimes. His personnel file was thick with complaints from workers, employers, and community advocates describing identical incidents. Internal Affairs had flagged him as high risk and recommended additional supervision. Yet he remained on patrol with full arrest authority because the system valued union solidarity over public safety and worker protection. That morning, Mitchell was patrolling Laurelhurst when he saw a black man in casual clothes reaching into mailboxes. Despite the postal badge visible on his belt, the USPS truck parked nearby with United States Postal Service in large letters, and the mail satchel with official logos, Mitchell assumed criminal activity because he couldn't imagine a black man legitimately working in this wealthy white neighborhood. "Sir, what are you doing going through those mailboxes?" Terrence turned, confused and startled by the hostile tone. "I'm delivering mail. I'm a postal carrier." "I don't see a uniform. You're tampering with federal property." Terrence gestured to his badge and satchel, then pointed to his truck. "My uniform shirt is in the truck. It's warm today. I'm on my route. I'm a postal employee. See my badge right here? My truck is right there with postal markings. I deliver this street every day. Show me your ID right now." "My postal ID is in my bag in the truck. My badge number is right here, 3847. You can call the post office to verify. The East Side Station, 503-294-2000. I deliver this route 5 days a week. I've been doing this route for 8 years. "You're tampering with mailboxes. That's a federal crime. I'm delivering mail. That's literally my job. I'm a federal employee with the United States Postal Service." A resident, Mrs. Patterson, came out of her house having heard the confrontation. "Officer, that's our mailman. He delivers here every single day. His name is Terrence. He's been our carrier for years. What's the problem?" Mitchell ignored her completely. "Sir, put down the mail and put your hands where I can see them." "Should postal workers be protected from false arrests? Let me know what you think." Terrence set down his mail satchel carefully on the sidewalk. "Officer, I've been a postal carrier for 14 years. I deliver this route 5 days a week, every week. That resident just confirmed it. My truck is marked USPS. My badge is visible. You can verify everything with one phone call. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for mail tampering." "Mail tampering? I'm delivering the mail. I work for the Postal Service. This is my job. This is what I do every day." Mitchell grabbed Terrence's arm and forced it behind his back roughly. Terrence didn't resist, but spoke clearly for the residents now watching. "I am not resisting. I'm complying fully. I'm Terrence Washington, USPS postal carrier for 14 years. I'm being arrested on my delivery route for doing my job. This is my assigned route. I'm a federal employee. This is unlawful detention. I have witnesses." The resident, Mrs. Patterson, was on her phone now, her voice urgent. "I'm calling the post office. This is ridiculous. He's our mailman. We know him." Mitchell handcuffed Terrence tightly and walked him toward his patrol car while Terrence continued documenting. "I deliver mail for the United States Postal Service. Employee number 3847. I've worked this route for 8 years. These residents know me by name. My supervisor is Brian Chen at the East Side Station. This officer is arresting me for delivering mail to people who are literally vouching for me right now." More residents were coming outside now, drawn by the commotion. "That's our mailman," one shouted. "He's been delivering here for years," another confirmed. "This is wrong," a third called out. One neighbor ran to Terrence's postal truck to get his supervisor's contact information posted inside the vehicle. Mitchell placed Terrence in the back of his patrol car. Through the window, Terrence could see his mail satchel on the sidewalk where he'd set it down, his postal truck parked legally with official markings, residents gathering and talking on phones. He'd delivered through the 2017 eclipse, through ice storms that shut down the city, through the pandemic when people relied on him for essential deliveries. Now he was handcuffed for doing that same job. The drive to the station took 16 minutes through Portland traffic. Terrence spent it thinking about his 14 years of service, his commendations, his perfect safety record, the federal protections he had as a postal employee. They arrived at Portland PD's East Precinct. Mitchell walked him inside, still handcuffed, past a desk sergeant who looked up with immediate concern. "Mitchell, what's the situation?" "Mail tampering suspect from Laurelhurst. Caught him going through mailboxes." The sergeant frowned, already skeptical. "Mail tampering? Did you contact the postal inspector?" "He claims he's a postal worker but wasn't wearing a uniform." Terrence spoke up, his voice firm. "Sergeant, I'm Terrence Washington, USPS postal carrier, 14 years of service. Employee badge 3847. I was delivering mail on my assigned route in Laurelhurst when Officer Mitchell arrested me. My uniform shirt is in my truck. It's warm today. My badge is on my belt. My ID is in my truck. My supervisor is Brian Chen at the East Side Station, 503-294-2000. I deliver that route every day, 5 days a week. Residents confirmed it. Multiple witnesses. This is my job." The sergeant's expression changed immediately. "You're a postal carrier?" 14 years. Federal employee. Union member with the National Association of Letter Carriers. I know my rights and this arrest violates federal employment law, postal regulations, and my civil rights." The sergeant looked at Mitchell with growing anger. "Did you verify his employment?" "He wasn't in uniform. He looked suspicious." "Did you check his truck? Look at his badge? Call the post office? Talk to the residents?" "He was reaching into mailboxes." "That's what postal carriers do. That's literally their job." The sergeant picked up the phone and called the East Side Postal Station. Within minutes, Supervisor Brian Chen confirmed Terrence was a veteran carrier with an exemplary record, assigned to the Laurelhurst route, working that morning, and that carriers sometimes work without uniform shirts in warm weather per postal regulations. The sergeant hung up and stared at Mitchell with barely controlled fury. "He's a postal carrier. 14 years of service. The post office confirms everything. You arrested a federal employee for doing his job." A captain arrived, Sarah Martinez, a 19-year veteran who'd been documenting Mitchell's complaints and fighting to have him removed from duty. She reviewed everything, spoke with residents by phone who were still calling to complain, confirmed Terrence's employment status, and reviewed photos residents had sent showing Terrence's clearly marked postal truck. She approached Terrence, who was still handcuffed. "Mr. Washington, this arrest was completely unjustified. You're being released immediately. On behalf of Portland PD, I sincerely apologize. This should never have happened." She turned to Mitchell with cold anger. "You arrested a postal carrier for delivering mail. You didn't verify employment despite multiple opportunities. You ignored residents who vouched for him. You've generated 22 complaints in 11 years, 18 involving black workers in affluent neighborhoods. You're done. Badge and weapon. Now." By that afternoon, the story was spreading rapidly. The National Association of Letter Carriers issued a strong statement condemning the arrest and demanding accountability. The Postal Inspector's Office announced an investigation into interference with mail delivery. Local news covered it extensively. Video and photos from residents went viral on social media. Terrence filed a comprehensive lawsuit 5 months later against Officer Jason Mitchell, his supervisors who'd ignored 22 complaints, and Portland PD. The allegations were detailed: false arrest without probable cause, false imprisonment, interference with federal employment duties, violation of federal labor laws protecting postal workers, racial profiling and discrimination, intentional ample infliction of emotional distress, deliberate indifference to Mitchell's documented pattern targeting black workers. The complaint included Mitchell's complete record: 22 complaints over 11 years, 18 involving black workers in affluent neighborhoods, and supervisor recommendations for termination that were blocked by union intervention. Portland city attorneys reviewed the evidence and found no defensible position. Postal records proved employment and route assignment going back 8 years. Residents provided witness statements confirming he delivered there regularly. Photographs showed his badge was visible and his truck was clearly marked. Mitchell had made no attempt to verify employment despite multiple opportunities and clear evidence. The pattern of complaints showed deliberate indifference to constitutional violations. The city settled 14 months later. $1 million paid to Terrence Washington, one of the largest settlements in Oregon, for false arrest of a federal worker. Officer Jason Mitchell was terminated 6 weeks after the incident. The termination letter was clear. Officer Mitchell arrested a United States Postal Service employee with 14 years of exemplary service for performing his assigned duties. He had no probable cause. He ignored witness verification and visible evidence of Legitimate employment. His pattern of similar conduct over 11 years demonstrates persistent racial bias and an inability to serve without discrimination. Employment terminated immediately. Mitchell's name entered the National Decertification Index, ensuring he would never work in law enforcement again. Terrence testified before Portland City Council, bringing both personal experience and institutional knowledge. I'm a postal carrier. I've delivered mail for 14 years through every weather condition Portland can throw at you. I've walked thousands of miles serving this community. I've delivered essential medications, birthday cards, paychecks. Officer Mitchell arrested me for doing my job, for delivering mail while black in a wealthy neighborhood. He continued, his voice steady but emotional. 22 complaints in 11 years. 18 involving black workers in affluent neighborhoods. That's not vigilance about crime. That's assuming black people don't belong in certain neighborhoods, even when we're wearing badges, driving marked vehicles, and doing jobs this city depends on. Portland PD documented every complaint but did nothing until a federal employee was arrested and the story went public. $1 million is what taxpayers paid for that failure. But money doesn't undo being handcuffed in front of residents I've served for 8 years, people who know my name and trust me with their mail. Portland PD implemented comprehensive reforms: mandatory employment verification before arresting any worker, automatic investigation triggered by 3 similar complaints, body camera review for all worker encounters, partnership with labor unions and federal agencies, specific training on recognizing legitimate work activity, prohibition on arrests without verified complaints from actual victims. Why do departments wait for 22 complaints instead of acting after 3? Comment your thoughts. This wasn't about one Tuesday morning in Laurelhurst. This was about tolerating Jason Mitchell for 11 years, despite 22 complaints showing he systematically targeted black workers in wealthy neighborhoods. This was about a system that documented problems but protected the officer anyway. Mitchell's career is over. The city paid $1 million. But that came after 11 years of warnings, 18 black workers harassed, and multiple recommendations for termination ignored because union contracts valued protecting bad officers over protecting workers and the public. The National Association of Letter Carriers used Terrence's case to advocate for stronger federal protections for postal workers. The case became a training example in postal facilities nationwide about workers' rights and what to do if wrongfully detained. Comment if federal workers should have absolute immunity from local police harassment while performing duties. Comment if patterns targeting workers should trigger federal intervention. And if these stories matter, if you believe a postal carrier should be able to deliver mail without being arrested, then hit that subscribe button. We're exposing systems that ignore patterns and protect bad officers. This isn't about one officer or one postal worker. It's about protecting federal employees serving the public and demanding accountability for those who abuse authority against workers simply trying to do their jobs.